Hello, my friends. Welcome back. I am very happy you are here with me today. Find a quiet place, sit comfortably, and let us travel together through time. Today, we will talk about one of the most famous games in the world. It is a game with kings and queens, soldiers and horses, castles and bishops. It is a game of silence, but also a game of great excitement. This game is chess. Maybe you have seen a chessboard before. Maybe you have moved a pawn. Maybe you have watched two people sit quietly and think for a long time. At first, chess may look simple. It is only a board with 64 squares. But when the game begins, that small board becomes a whole world. Today, we will discover where chess came from. We will go to ancient India. Then we will travel to Persia. After that, we will follow chess into the Arab world, then into Europe, and finally into the modern world, where millions of people still play it every day. So take a calm breath, listen carefully, and let this story begin. Our story begins more than 1,500 years ago. The place is ancient India. At that time, India was a land of kingdoms. There were great rivers, busy cities, rich markets, and beautiful palaces. There were farmers in the fields, merchants on the roads, teachers in quiet schools, and kings inside strong walls. But ancient India was not always peaceful. Kingdoms sometimes fought each other. A king needed to protect his land. He needed soldiers. He needed wise advisors. He needed to understand danger before danger arrived. In those days, an army had 4 important parts. The first part was the foot soldiers. They walked on the ground and stood in the front line. The second part was the horses. They were fast and brave. The third part was the elephants. They were large, strong, and frightening. The fourth part was the chariots. These were war carts pulled by horses. Together, these 4 parts of the army were called chaturanga. This word meant 4 parts. It was a word for the 4 parts of a real army. And one day, this word became the name of a game. We do not know the name of the person who first created the game. Maybe it was a wise teacher. Maybe it was a soldier. Maybe it was a royal advisor. History does not give us one clear name, but the idea was very smart. What if a king could learn about war without real war? What if a young prince could learn strategy without hurting anyone? What if 2 people could fight with their minds, not with swords? This was the great idea behind the early game of chess. So a board was made. It had 8 squares on one side and 8 squares on the other side. Together, it had 64 squares. On this board, people placed small pieces. Each piece showed a part of the army. There was a king. The king was the most important piece. If the king was trapped, the game was over. There was also a counselor near the king. This piece was not the queen yet. That change would come much later. There were elephants. There were horses. There were chariots. And there were foot soldiers. The foot soldiers slowly became what we now call pawns. They looked small, but they were very important. The game was not exactly like modern chess. Some pieces moved in different ways. The rules were slower. The attacks were not as quick as today, but the heart of chess was already there. Think before you move. Protect your king. Watch your opponent. Use small pieces and large pieces together. Imagine a young prince in an Indian palace. He sits with his teacher. The teacher places the board between them. The prince sees the small wooden pieces. At first, he thinks it is only a game. But soon, he understands something deeper. If he moves too fast, he loses a piece. If he attacks without care, his king becomes weak. If he forgets one small soldier, the whole plan can break. The teacher smiles quietly. The prince is not only learning a game, he is learning how to think. This is why Chaturanga became special. It was exciting, but it was also useful. It taught patience. It taught planning. It taught people that every choice has a result. One small move could open a road. One careless move could bring danger. Slowly, the game began to travel. Ancient India had trade roads. Merchants carried spices, cloth, jewels, and stories. They also carried ideas. A good idea can travel farther than a king's army, and Chaturanga was a very good idea. The game moved west. It reached Persia. Persia was a powerful land with great cities, royal courts, poets, artists, and scholars. The Persian people loved clever games. They loved beautiful words. They loved deep thinking. So when they saw this Indian game, they became interested. There is an old story about chess arriving in Persia. It may be a legend, not full history, but it is a wonderful story. The story says that an Indian ruler sent a chessboard to the Persian king, but he did not send the rules. The Indian ruler wanted to test the Persians. He wanted to know if they were wise enough to understand the game. The board came into the royal court. The king looked at it. The advisors looked at it. The pieces stood silently on the squares. For a time, nobody understood the secret. What did the pieces mean? Why were the small soldiers in front? Why was the king behind them? Why were horses and elephants on the board? The court was quiet. Then one wise advisor studied the game carefully. He looked at the pieces like an army. He looked at the board like a battlefield. Slowly, he understood. This was not just wood and squares. This was a kingdom in miniature. This was a battle of the mind. The Persians accepted the game and gave it a new name. Chaturanga became Chatrang. Later, in the Arab world, it became Shatranj. The Persian word Shah meant king. When the king was attacked, players said Shah. This is where the word check comes from. And when the king had no safe place, people said Shah Mat. This meant the king was helpless. Over many years, Shah Mat became checkmate. So every time we say checkmate today, we are hearing an echo from old Persia. In Persia, chess became a noble game. Kings played it, princes studied it. Advisors used it to teach strategy. It was not a game for quick hands. It was a game for quiet minds. Then history changed again. In the 7th century, Arab armies came into Persia. With them came a new world of language, religion, trade, and learning. The game of Shatranj entered the Islamic world, and there it became even more famous. The Islamic world had many great centers of learning. Cities like Baghdad, Damascus, Cairo, and Cordoba were full of scholars. People studied mathematics, medicine, astronomy, poetry, and philosophy. They also studied chess. In Baghdad, chess players became respected people. Some of them were almost like artists. They did not only play games, they created chess problems. A chess problem is a special position on the board. The player must find the best move. Sometimes there is only one correct answer. These problems were like small mysteries. The king is in danger. The pieces are not many. The road is hidden. Find the move. Save the king. Win the game. People wrote books about shatranj. They explained openings. They explained endings. They told stories about famous players. The game became part of culture. It appeared in poems and royal stories. It was a sign of intelligence. But shatranj was still slower than modern chess. The counselor piece was weak. The elephant moved differently. The game needed patience. A strong attack could take a long time to build. Players had to think deeply and slowly. From the Islamic world, chess traveled into Europe. It came through Spain, where Muslim and European cultures met for many centuries. It also came through Sicily and Italy. Traders, travelers, soldiers, and scholars all helped the game move from place to place. At first, Europeans saw chess as something foreign and mysterious. The names were strange. The pieces looked different. But the game was powerful. It entered castles, monasteries, towns, and royal courts. Kings played it. Nobles played it. Monks wrote about it. Soon, chess was everywhere. In medieval Europe, people began to change the pieces. The old counselor near the king slowly became the queen. This was a very important change. In the old game, the counselor was weak. But in Europe, the queen became stronger and stronger. By the late 15th century, the queen had become the most powerful piece on the board. She could move far in straight lines and diagonal lines. She could cross the board quickly. This made the game much faster and more exciting. The bishop also changed. In the old game, the elephant did not move like our bishop today. But in Europe, the bishop gained a long diagonal move. Now it could travel across the board in one line. This made attacks stronger. It made the game more open. These changes created modern chess. The game became quicker, more dangerous, more dramatic. A quiet position could become a strong attack in only a few moves. One mistake could be punished at once. Think about how big this change was. For hundreds of years, chess was slow and careful. Then suddenly, the queen and bishop became powerful. The game became full of fire. Players had to learn new ideas. Old plans were not enough anymore. Around this time, books about chess began to appear in Europe. Printing helped ideas travel faster. A player in one city could read about games from another city. Chess knowledge was no longer only in royal courts. It began to spread to more people. In the next centuries, chess became a favorite game in coffee houses and clubs. People met to talk, drink, argue, and play. A chessboard could bring strangers together. Two people did not need to speak the same language well. The board was its own language. In the 18th and 19th centuries, chess became more organized. There were famous players. There were matches. There were chess columns in newspapers. People began to record games carefully. They studied old games and learned from them. One famous player from France was François-André Danican Philidor. He lived in the 18th century. He said that pawns are the soul of chess. This was a powerful idea. Many beginners think only the queen and big pieces matter. But Philidor understood that pawns shape the whole board. Later, in the 19th century, chess became even more public. Tournaments became common. Players traveled to meet other strong players. People watched important games with excitement. Chess was becoming a world sport of the mind. In 1886, the first official World Chess Championship was held. Wilhelm Steinitz became the first official world champion. He changed the way people understood chess. Before him, many players loved fast attacks. They wanted beauty and sacrifice. Steinitz taught that defense, structure, and small advantages were also important. Chess was no longer only romantic and wild. It became more scientific. Players studied positions more deeply. They asked new questions. Is my king safe? Are my pieces active? Are my pawns strong or weak? Can I improve slowly before I attack? Then came more great champions. Emmanuel Lasker, José Raúl Capablanca, Alexander Alekhine, Mikhail Botvinnik, Bobby Fischer, Anatoly Karpov, Garry Kasparov, Viswanathan Anand, Magnus Carlsen, and many others. Each champion added something to chess. Capablanca showed natural clarity. Alekhine showed imagination. Botvinnik showed deep preparation. Fischer showed incredible focus. Karpov showed quiet control. Kasparov showed energy and calculation. Anand showed speed and elegance. Carlsen showed patience, pressure, and endgame power. But chess was not only for champions. It was also for ordinary people. Children learned it in schools. Friends played it in parks. Families kept small boards at home. Old people played slow games in public squares. Chess belonged to everyone. Then the computer age arrived. At first, computers were weak at chess. They made strange mistakes. Strong human players could beat them easily. But computers became stronger year after year. They calculated faster. They looked at millions of moves. They did not get tired. In 1997, a computer called Deep Blue defeated world champion Garry Kasparov in a famous match. Many people were shocked. It felt like a new age had begun. For the first time, a machine had beaten the strongest human player in such an important match. Some people were afraid. They thought computers would destroy chess, but chess did not die. It changed again. Humans began to use computers as teachers. Players studied openings with engines. They checked their games. They found hidden ideas that no person had seen before. Then the internet changed chess one more time. Now people did not need to go to a club to find a game. They could play someone from another country in seconds. A child in India could play a student in Brazil. A grandmother in Ukraine could play a man in Canada. The board became global. Online chess made the game faster and more popular. People played rapid games, blitz games, bullet games. Some games lasted only a few minutes. Some lasted only 1 minute. This was very different from the slow royal game of the past. But the heart was still the same. Think, move, watch, learn. In recent years, chess has become even more popular because of videos, live streams, and online lessons. Millions of people watch chess on the internet. They listen to teachers explain ideas. They watch champions play fast games. They enjoy the drama of one small move changing everything. Today, chess is both ancient and modern. It is older than many countries, but it also lives on phones and computers. It began with wooden pieces in ancient India. Now it moves through screens around the world. Still, the board has 64 squares. Still, the king must be protected. Still, a small pawn can become great. This is one of the most beautiful things about chess. It began as a picture of war, but it became a peaceful game. Nobody is hurt. No city burns. No army falls. Two people sit together and test their minds. At the end, they can shake hands and play again. Chess teaches many lessons. It teaches patience. You cannot win only by rushing forward. It teaches courage. Sometimes you must make a brave move. It teaches respect. Even a small pawn can change the game. It teaches responsibility. Every move is your choice. Chess also teaches us to look deeper. In life, as on the board, the first answer is not always the best answer. Sometimes we must stop. Breathe. Look again. Ask what is really happening. Then move with care. So the next time you see a chessboard, remember its long journey. Remember ancient India and the game of chaturanga. Remember Persia and the word Shah. Remember Baghdad and the wise players of shatranj. Remember Europe and the powerful queen. Remember the world champions and the computers. Remember the millions of people playing today. A chessboard is small. You can put it on a table. You can carry it in a bag. You can open it on a phone. But inside that small board is a huge story. A story of kings and teachers, travelers and scholars, change and memory, silence and excitement. And maybe that is why chess is still alive, because every game begins like a new story. The board is ready. The pieces are waiting. The first move is made. And suddenly, a quiet battle of the mind begins. Thank you for listening, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this journey through the history of chess. You are doing a wonderful job learning English. Every story you hear helps your ears, your mind, and your confidence grow. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, write a comment, and subscribe for more calm English stories. Tell me what story you would like to hear next. Keep learning slowly, keep listening calmly, and I will see you in the next story.